Think about the last big goal you told someone about, a dream you were excited about, a plan you had been building in your mind for weeks, and you finally told someone, a friend, a family member, someone you trusted, and they said something encouraging. That's amazing. I believe in you. You're going to do great. And you felt good, really good, warm, validated, seen. And then something strange happened. Without even noticing it, you worked a little less on that goal that day, and the next day, and the day after. The fire that was burning inside you got just a little quieter. You told yourself it was normal, that you were just tired, that you would get back to it. But deep down, something had shifted, and you didn't know why. Tonight, I am going to tell you exactly why, and I am going to tell it to you through the story of a young man named Zion, a young man who learned this lesson the hard way, 3 times, before it finally changed everything. Zion was 22 years old, bright, creative, genuinely talented, the kind of person who had more ideas in 1 week than most people had in a year. He grew up in a small apartment in a busy city. His mother worked long hours as a nurse. His father had left when Zion was 11. There was no bitterness in Zion about this, just a quiet space where certainty should have been, a space he had learned to fill with dreams. Since he was a teenager, Zion had wanted to build something, a creative business, graphic design, branding, visual storytelling. He had a natural eye for it. Teachers had noticed, friends had noticed, even strangers who saw his work online had noticed. He had real ability, real potential, the kind that doesn't need to be manufactured. But Zion had a pattern he didn't see for a long time, a pattern that had quietly stolen 3 of the most important years of his young life. And the pattern looked like this. He would get an idea, a real, burning, exciting idea. He would work on it alone for a few days. The energy would build, the excitement would grow, and then he would tell someone. The first time happened when Zion was 19. He had spent 3 weeks building a small design portfolio, working every evening after school, genuinely focused, genuinely productive. The portfolio was not finished, but it was alive, growing, real. And one evening his best friend came over, and Zion, unable to contain his excitement, showed him everything: the designs, the concept, the plan for where it was going, the clients he imagined approaching, the business he could see forming in his mind. His friend was genuinely impressed. "Zion, this is incredible. You're going to be huge. This is going to work." And Zion felt it, that warm, flooding feeling of being seen, of being believed in, of the dream being acknowledged as real by someone outside his own head. He went to bed that night feeling like he had already arrived somewhere. The next evening, he opened the portfolio project, looked at it, and somehow the urgency was gone. Not the interest, not the love for the work, just the fire, the driving need to build it. It felt already done, already celebrated, already enough. He told himself he was just tired. He would come back to it tomorrow. Tomorrow became next week. Next week became next month. The portfolio sat unfinished for 4 months. By the time he returned to it, the version of himself who'd started it felt like a stranger. He started over, but the original fire never fully came back. The second time happened when Zion was 20. He had decided to start a YouTube channel, design tutorials, creative process videos. He had a genuine plan this time, a content calendar, a visual style decided. The first 3 video scripts outlined. He worked on it quietly for 2 weeks, and then he made the mistake of mentioning it at a family dinner. His uncle immediately had opinions. "YouTube is very competitive. Most channels fail. What is your backup plan?" His aunt nodded. "So many young people try this. It is very difficult." His cousin said nothing but pulled out his phone, and Zion's mother, trying to be supportive, said, "If my son wants to try it, he will try it. He is talented." And somehow, even the support felt like a weight, because now the YouTube channel was no longer just his. It was a family topic, a thing being discussed, a thing that could fail publicly, a thing with opinions attached to it from people who had never built anything like it. He went home that night and opened his content calendar and felt watched, judged, even though he was alone. The channel launched 3 months late. 2 videos were posted, then silence. The idea that had been so alive in his private mind had been slowly suffocated by the oxygen of other people's awareness. The third time happened when Zion was 21, and this one was the most painful, because by now he had noticed the pattern slightly. He told himself he would be different this time. He had a new idea, a freelance design service, targeted, specific, genuinely thought through. He worked on it in private for 3 weeks, said nothing to anyone, and then he got scared. The old fear arrived. What if it fails? What if I'm building this for nothing? I need to know if someone else thinks this is a good idea. And he told his closest friend, just to get validation, just to hear one person say it was a good idea. His friend said it was excellent, and Zion felt the familiar warm flood of being believed in, and the familiar quiet extinguishing of the inner fire. 3 days later, the freelance service had still not launched. That night, Zion sat at his desk. He looked at 3 unfinished things: the portfolio, the YouTube channel, the freelance service. 3 real ideas, 3 genuine efforts, all of them incomplete, all of them abandoned at almost exactly the same point, just after he had told someone. And for the first time, he asked himself the question he had been avoiding. Why does telling someone make me stop? There was an old man who came to the small library near Zion's apartment every Saturday morning. Zion had noticed him over the years. Always the same corner seat, always the same quiet presence, always reading or writing in a small notebook. He had the specific stillness of someone who had long since stopped needing to prove anything to anyone. One Saturday morning, Zion was at the library, not to read, just to sit somewhere that wasn't his room. He had his notebook open, the 3 unfinished projects written out, staring at him. The old man glanced over from his corner, noticed the expression on the face of a young person who just understood something uncomfortable about themselves. After a while, without invitation, the old man spoke quietly from his corner. "You look like someone who just saw a pattern they cannot unsee." Zion looked up. "Is it that obvious?" The old man smiled slightly. "Only to someone who has seen it before." They talked for a long time that morning, not about design, not about business, about the brain, about what actually happens inside your mind when you announce a goal to another person. The old man explained it simply. He said, "Your brain cannot fully tell the difference between doing a thing and telling someone you are going to do that thing." Zion frowned. "What do you mean?" The old man continued. "When you work toward a goal alone, in private, your brain feels the gap, the distance between where you are and where you want to be, and that discomfort is your fuel. It drives you forward. It keeps the fire burning." He paused. "But when you tell someone your goal and they respond positively, your brain receives a small signal, a reward, the same kind of reward it was saving for when the goal was actually achieved. And when the brain gets the reward early, it reduces the urgency, it lowers the drive. It whispers, 'We've already been acknowledged. We can relax a little now.'" Zion sat very still. The old man wasn't finished. The goal was real, the talent was real, the plan was real. But the moment you sought celebration before completion, your brain started treating it as if it was already done. And a goal that feels already done has no energy left to pull you forward. Zion looked down at his notebook, at the 3 unfinished things, and he understood. He had not been lazy. He had not been undisciplined. He had not been untalented. He had been feeding his brain the reward before he had done the work that deserved it. He had been celebrating the vision instead of building it. He had been living in the story of the goal instead of living in the work of the goal. And his brain, satisfied by the warmth of other people's belief, had quietly, gently, without malice, put the fire out. Zion walked home from the library that morning slowly. He wasn't angry at himself. That was the surprising part. He wasn't embarrassed. He wasn't devastated. He was just clear. For the first time in 3 years, genuinely, quietly clear. He understood something that changed the shape of everything going forward. The dream was not the problem. The talent was not the problem. The ideas were not the problem. The announcements were the problem. The seeking of early validation was the problem. The treating of other people's belief as a substitute for his own committed action, that was the problem. He sat at his desk that afternoon. He opened a new notebook, not to plan, not to outline, not to design a vision board, just to write one decision at the top of the clean page. Build first, share after. 4 words, his new rule, his new identity. He picked one of the 3 unfinished projects, not the most exciting one, not the biggest one, the one that was most real and most practical, the freelance design service, and he started in complete silence. No announcements, no check-ins with friends, no family dinner mentions, no seeking of validation, just work. Quiet, private work every day. And something remarkable happened. The fire came back.